I think most people are actually really good at starting goals. We get really energized, we get excited about it, we start taking action on it, and then there's an obstacle or a problem. And our brains are wired to think that if there's an obstacle or a problem that we can't easily solve, that we must be on the wrong path. And so then what we do is we switch. We either change the strategy or we change the whole goal itself. And what happens then is you constantly start goals. You constantly start new strategies, but you never actually make it through the challenges. And it seems like changing strategies or changing the goal makes so much sense because look, that path doesn't seem to have any obstacles. And the only reason is because you've put yourself back at the beginning before any obstacles have had a chance to arise.
Corporate life is a game, but no one hands you the rule book. Here on Secrets of the Career Game, we break down the unspoken norms and behind-the-scenes dynamics shaping your career today. I'm Kendall Berg, that career coach, and I guide professionals to grow, advance, and lead with clarity. Each week, we explore the tools, habits, and conversations that build confidence, presence, and long-term momentum.
Welcome back to today's episode. We have a fabulous guest for you guys joining us all the way from New Zealand. It's going to be a fun chat. Sarah Arnold Hall is a high-performance coach who specializes in helping people really achieve impossible goals, quote unquote. So some of her own achievements is she climbed Kilimanjaro, which we were briefly talking about before we started recording, because I just selfishly want to hear about that, building a multi-six-figure business. And she is incredible at helping empower other people to achieve their goals as well. So thank you, Sarah, so much for coming on the show. We're excited to chat.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here.
So why don't you tell listeners a little bit about you, your background, how you got into both doing impossible things and coaching on impossible things, kind of what's your story to this point?
Yeah. So there's so many different versions of what I could tell you, but basically I think I was most inspired by growing up. My family are all like super into mountaineering. So my mom is, I sometimes joke that she's the slowest person to have ever climbed the 7 summits because she did it over something like 30 years or 25 years or something, which is funny because my dad happened to be the fastest person to ever do it at the time when he did it. And so they were both like into mountaineering. Actually, really sadly, my dad passed on Everest before I was born, so I didn't get to meet him, but I did learn so much from him through what my family have told me about him and the people who did know him. And so I just kind of grew up with this idea that you can do impossible things. So my mom was told, like, you can't climb Mount Everest. And then she just did. And, she, I think there's a sense that just because something is big, that therefore it's literally impossible. Or just because it's big for someone else and maybe they can do it, but it's impossible for you. And so I just started redefining this concept of impossible as an impossible goal is just a goal you don't know how to do yet. That's all it is. Because before we went to the moon, that was considered impossible. And then we just figured out how to do it. It's just that we didn't know how to do it. And so when you reframe things like that, it's like, wow, well, what else am I missing out on? What else should I pursue? What else should I go after? And I ended up studying psychology and going down that route because I was really interested in that. And then I found coaching and I fell in love with coaching and helping people go after their goals. And I started helping people set bigger and bigger goals and then watch them achieve them faster than they ever thought they could. And I just kind of got obsessed with it. And now I get to do it full time. So I'm very, very lucky.
It's great the way that you describe of like a goal is just something we don't know how to do yet, like something that is impossible. And I think this is so true. I talk obviously with a lot of people in their careers and in their jobs. And when you're faced with a new opportunity, a new role, a new promotion or progression, a lot of the time we feel like it's impossible. I can't do that. And the example that you gave of like, oh, that's something so-and-so would do, or that's something so-and-so is capable of, but not me, is so debilitating in a lot of ways because we are playing the comparison game. We're finding all these ways that we maybe fall short of this person, or we operate differently than this person, or we don't do X like this person. And yet we get these opportunities at work and we're like, well, we don't really have a choice. We're going to figure it out. And then 5 years later, you're like, oh, this job is easy. Like, anybody could do it, right? But you learn how. And so if somebody is listening to this, we're kicking off a new year. I hate to do the like new year, new me, but if we think of opportunities that lay before us and somebody has a really big goal, where do they start? Right? Say they acknowledge this and they're like, okay, it's something I don't know how to do, but I still don't know how to do it. So where do they start with really starting to go after some of these objectives that they have in their heart?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think we're all really inclined to think about the start. But when you think about it, the start is about as far away from the goal as you can get. So it's funny that we want to start in the beginning because really that's not anywhere close to where you want to be. So I usually tell my clients, let's look at the end. And instead of asking ourselves, where am I going to start? We want to ask, where do I want to end? And how can I begin as close as possible to the end instead of how can I begin as close as possible to the start. So for example, I had a client who recently told me she wanted to become an influencer and be paid to travel the world writing about the different locations she went to. So kind of like a travel writer influencer. And she said to me, well, where should I start? Should I do a photography course? Should I take a writing course? And I thought I could just see how long the stream was going to take if she started by doing a photography course. And I thought, well, what do you do? What's like the final thing that you're going to do once you become a travel writing influencer? And she said, well, I would have a brand deal and I would go and stay somewhere and take beautiful photos and write beautiful things. And so we were like, why don't we just start with that? And so she pitched 6 different safaris in Africa and in Botswana, and because she really wanted to go there. And 2 of them got back to her, and one of them ended up inviting her to come out and stay with them, and they flew her between 3 different locations in their private helicopter, and she stayed for free. And it was all because she decided, I'm going to start at the end. I'm going to start where I want to be instead of, well, I don't know, am I qualified to do this? I think there's a huge question that we ask ourselves when we're going after a goal is like, am I really ready? Am I qualified to do this? And I love that question because I always imagine, like, if you saw somebody on the side of the road and they had clearly had some kind of accident and they were just bleeding out, like maybe they've fallen and you're not a paramedic and you're not a doctor. What are you going to do? Are you going to just watch and be like, well, I don't know if I'm qualified? Are you going to run over there? Are you going to jump in? Are you going to help straight away and do the thing that you really want to do to help them, whatever you can, even if you aren't the person, and you can maybe make a phone call to somebody who can help, call 911, call 111, wherever you are in the world, and actually get them the help that they need, but you are there first on the scene. And so I love to think that we ask ourselves, like, you know, am I qualified? Am I the person to do this? But I think you are the person who's right there, and that's why you're the person who should start and who should do it. So I want to challenge anybody who's listening to really think about where do I need to end and how can I do that thing first?
This example that you gave, I think, is really, really powerful of like, oh, I want to be this travel influencer writer and I want to do this. So I'm going to take a writing course. And you're like, or hear me out. We just go do that. And then we see how that goes, right? And obviously, there are some steps back from that generally, I would expect for most people, right? If you're want to climb Kilimanjaro, you're not just going to show up and climb it, right? Maybe some prep, a little bit of prep, probably wise. Like, I don't know, get some supplies or something. But I do think that this idea of, okay, if I visualize myself there, if I think about what that is, here's what I would be doing. Great. Can I just do some of those things today? Like, why wait until I'm at this goal to start living your life? And there is a interesting phenomenon that happens when you think about that. And even if I think of like corporate employees who are listening, if you're like, oh, I really want to be a VP one day, great. Start doing stuff a VP would do. Like, stop thinking about like, oh, but this report is doing, it needs to look like this. Like, great. What would the VP say about it? And start working that way, showing those skills versus saying, well, I'm just going to wait, and then my boss will promote me to a senior manager, and then I'll get to a director, and then I'll like just start showing up like the leader that you want to be, the executive that you want to be, and people will recognize that and your progression will follow. So I think that that's such a great reframe for people who maybe get stuck at that start like you called out.
I love that. If I were wanting to go and be a VP, I actually had this one time. I had somebody who wanted to be the CEO of an airline, and she was like 21. And I said, go and apply for those jobs as a CEO. You will get rejected. You will not get them, but you will be talking to the people who will be telling you exactly what you need to know. And they'll tell you exactly why you're not where you need to be yet. Rather than you guessing and you thinking that you maybe need to work on this skill or that skill, they'll say, we really need you to work on this or that. You're not qualified for these exact reasons. And maybe even sometimes you'll get an actual interview and get to speak with someone. And if you can go there knowing it's okay to be rejected, it's okay to not get the final results straight away, you're going to get so much closer to it faster.
This is something that I think entrepreneurs could really learn from, and anybody who's wanting to like start a side hustle, start a company, because I've talked about this with other friends of mine. I'd love to get your take. I'm a huge fan of the concept of messy action, of like, maybe I'm not ready to do the thing, but I'm going to. And maybe it works out and like, huzzah, pat on the back. And maybe it doesn't, but I learn a bunch of stuff that lets me do it the next time so much better. And then the next time runs so much smoother than I thought it would. And if I wait until it's perfect before I do it, so much time has passed that I've now missed this opportunity. And I don't know, Sarah, how familiar you are with my story, but my coaching business was born because I posted a video and it got 4 million views. It's like my third post ever, I think. And it exploded. And all these people were like, can I work with you? And I was like, yeah, of course. I did not have a program. I did not know what I was going to talk about. I didn't have a pricing structure. I didn't have a team. I had nothing. I didn't have an LLC, no things. And I was like, yeah, of course. You can sign up for my wait list here for this thing that doesn't exist yet. And a lot of people at the time were like, why would you do that? You should go get a coaching certification. You should go, take a business course. You should go build this plan. You should go build this program. And I was like, but they already want to work with me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go
already
backwards.
At the end. They want you to start at the start. And there will be a lot of people out there who want you to start at the start because they want you to pay your dues and they want to feel like everybody who gets where they want to be is there because they've worked so hard and slaved at it and they haven't taken a really clever shortcut to actually get to where they want to go and actually be doing the work, and instead are over here not doing any of the work that is actually what needs to be done. So I love that. Good for you.
Yeah, I bring it up because I think it's one of these things where like we hold ourselves back and we think, yeah, I want to do this thing, but maybe later. Maybe I want to do it eventually, and I need to do more research, and I need to take more courses, and I need to think about it more, and I need to X, Y, Z. So from your experience, you're working with people who have all these big goals, who are high achieving. What holds them back? Like aside from wanting to start at the start and wanting to grind it out, which is like a weird sadistic pathway that we all take, what are some of the things that keep people from really starting to go after these dreams and really start at the end, so to speak?
I think most people are actually really good at starting goals. We get really energized, we get excited about it, we start taking action on it, and then there's an obstacle or a problem. And our brains are wired to think that if there's an obstacle or a problem that we can't easily solve, that we must be on the wrong path. And so then what we do is we switch. We either change the strategy or we change the whole goal itself. And what happens then is you constantly start goals. You constantly start new strategies, but you never actually make it through the challenges. And it seems like changing strategies or changing the goal makes so much sense because look, that path doesn't seem to have any obstacles. And the only reason is because you've put yourself back at the beginning before any obstacles have had a chance to arise. So you're going to face an obstacle on every single goal that you go after. And if you can sit with that obstacle and be like, okay, this is part of the plan. This is supposed to happen. We're supposed to go into a big dip where we have no idea how we're going to do this and everything feels like a disaster. And that's what goal getting feels like. Then you will pursue it and you will keep going. But what a lot of us do is because when we set the goal, it feels so good. We expect that going after it, it's going to feel so good. Or if you're anything like me, I always expect that there's going to be challenges, but I never expect that challenge. And so I was like, no, I was prepared to like work really hard or face tech challenges. But then when I got rejected from this thing, that's not what I was expecting. Clearly I'm on the wrong path. Let me switch, let me change, let me go back to the beginning. And so a lot of us, I always say we don't quit our goals. We don't think of ourselves as quitting the goal. We just slowly back out by doing something else, by thinking that we need to do it a different way. And ultimately, like it's a form of quiet quitting where we eventually forget we even set that goal because we're busy doing something else because now's not the right time or I want to approach it from a different strategy. And I'm not saying you shouldn't innovate. Absolutely, you're going to have to innovate, but you want to innovate on the strategy that you choose, because ultimately any strategy works, right? Let's say you're trying to lose weight. Every single diet out there has testimonials and people to prove why that diet works if you stick to that diet and you decide that that's the one you want to do. And the same in entrepreneurship. TikTok and Instagram work, and so do funnels, and so does networking, and so does billboards and radio campaigns and podcasting. It all works. It's just whether or not you work at it to make it work. So you've got to pick the strategy you're going to go after, stick at it, and innovate within that rather than innovating by changing the strategy.
Oh, so much wisdom, Sarah, in what you just shared. Like, I'm over here like, yes, what she said, say it again, that one. But it's so true. And I think, I've talked about this with entrepreneurs specifically. Entrepreneurs don't expect to fail. Like, none of us expect to fail, right? But every entrepreneur I've ever met who built a successful business failed at some before that. Like, everybody. And yet the difference between their one that worked out and their ones that didn't is they just kept going with the one that ultimately worked out. Right? They tried new things. They did a different VC strategy, or they learned from their last company that this didn't work. So they built it differently the second time within that same space. And the difference was that they did different things, but they stuck to it. And I think this is the thing with, like, I'm going to use influencers as an example. Everybody on the planet right now wants to be an influencer. Also, I don't think it's all it's cracked up to be. So, like, come on, guys. But say you do, and you're like, oh, I posted a video, but it only got 50 views. And people give up. Like, well, it's not working. I'm like, well, it worked for like a ton of people. So maybe we need to do something different, post different types of content, think about your problem statement different, your niche customer different, communicate a little differently. And there was a creator once that I talked to who said, if you're disappointed that you got 100 views on a video, imagine what it would be like to stand in a room with 100 people who wanted to hear what you had to say. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. And I recently did a TED Talk. There were, I think we had 300 people, 250 people. And I was like, man, it was just so many people. And my husband was like, Kendall, 20,000 people watch your videos every day. And I was like, it's not the same. Like, they're not in the room and I can't see them, touch them, feel them, hug them. Like, it's not the same. And he was like, you are a crazy person. And so I love this idea of like, hey, if it doesn't work, you got to change the strategy, but you got to stick with the goal because, and I'm adding to that, I think you also need to celebrate those like micro wins along the way, that like something failing and then working, or something working before it fails, like those are all learning opportunities and success that we immediately discount as soon as something doesn't work.
Yes, you're actually touching on a concept that I think is possibly the most important concept that you can have in goal getting. And that is that you have to tell yourself the sentence, it's working, every single day. So I get my clients to tell me at the start of every single call why it's working. And you have got to get so good at coming up with why it's working, even when your brain wants to tell you why something's not working. So let's say you lose a follower or a subscriber. You've got to be like, great, I'm polarizing my audience. I'm finally speaking to the right people. Like, people are leaving. That means the right people are joining. It's working. Or, I got sick. Great. That means my body is like getting rid of all the toxins so I can perform better next time. Like, whatever you need to do to tell yourself it's working, because celebrating isn't just a nice thing to do. It's the fuel that keeps you going. And the moment you tell yourself, it's like a little cycle. The moment you tell yourself it's not working, then you stop working, and surprise, it stops working. And you can get out of that at any moment by telling yourself it's working, even if it feels like it's not working. You tell yourself it's working, then you start working, then it starts working. And even if it's not working, even if your brain wants to tell you all the reasons why it's not, you can always find a reason that it is, because it's the thought it's working that will keep you in that persistence and keep you able to keep going with a strategy that you need to keep innovating on. You've got to keep every single day look for why it's working. So I have my clients write down big lists, evidence every single time of why it's working every day.
Love this. And I think it ties into gratitude, right, Sarah? Like, if you're a positive person, if you think positively about your life, if you have gratitude, like, you're generally happier and your life tends to feel better and get better because that positivity. And I think in your business, it was funny. I did an exercise a couple of weeks ago. I'm reading 10X is easier than 2X, which I think aligns very well with your coaching style. And they were like, write out all of the accomplishments you've had, all the 10X times. And I stared at that blank piece of paper for like an hour. And I was like, I've never done anything. I have no accomplishments. I've never 10X'd. And it's funny how, perception is, because my husband walks in, he's like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I was like, oh, I forgot I did those things. You're right. Those are some good examples. And he's like, you forgot. This like crazy big thing you did that you just totally. I was like, yeah, I don't know. It didn't sound right in context. And he's like, and I think it's one of those things that where we don't focus on it's working. We don't focus on these positives that are coming out. And we get so caught up in like, but I don't have this and this isn't happening yet, or I have to do this still and this is still ahead, instead of being like, okay, it is working, it is growing, it is getting us closer to this goal, and really building momentum there. So I absolutely love that reframe. Is there a time, and if there is, when, that we should give up on a goal? Because like I've given up on eating healthy 52 times. So like, is there a good time where we're like, okay, maybe this goal actually isn't in alignment with us, or maybe this goal isn't something that we should be achieving? And how do we assess that? Or is it always a pivot and a reassessing strategy?
Yeah, it's a good question. I like to tell my clients that there's the only good time to give up on the goal is when you no longer want the outcome. And when I say no longer want the outcome, I don't mean no longer want to do the work to get to the outcome. I mean, if I could hand it to you on a silver platter and say, here's all the followers, here's the new promotion that you wanted, here's the money, here's the whatever it is, the love, the body, whatever. If I could hand that to you, would you actually tell me, no, thank you, I don't want it? And then that's when you quit the goal. And I have had times where that's been the case, where I have gone after a goal and then I've decided, you know what, that goal actually isn't for me. This was me with TikTok. I know a lot of people love TikTok, but for me, I was like, I'm going to go after TikTok. And I started creating and I started making videos for TikTok. And I've made videos for lots of different platforms, but for some reason with TikTok, I just had this idea that it was going to be so easy. And of course, it's going to be so fun. And I ended up not enjoying the process of making the videos. And I realized, okay, this is hard, but once I have the 1 million followers, then it's going to be great, because then I have to create more content for them. Oh, no. Please don't give me 1 million followers on TikTok, right? Only because that's not the style of content that I love to create. I prefer to create long form content like YouTube and podcasts. And so I was like, oh, that's where I want the outcome, because if I do get those subscribers and those followers, I will want to keep creating that content for them. And I'll be excited about it. So there's going to be times when you realize you've gone down the path of the wrong goal, but you have to be honest with yourself about whether it's because you don't want to do the hard work or because you actually don't want the outcome. Because in my case, it was because I didn't like doing the thing that was going to be required of me when I had the 1 million TikTok followers.
Yeah. I don't think that people really understand how important what you just said is. I'm going to say it again, because people who are listening, who are like in their cars and doing their thing, again, if you don't want the outcome, and I think of the example that I gave where I was like, I've quit healthy eating 52 times, right? Like if you told me tomorrow, like, hey, you're going to be super healthy, you're going to have this healthy fit body, it's going to look like this, it's going to be great, you can have it, would I take it? Oh, girl, yes. Yes, I would. And I think that there's so much that leads to discipline in that mindset, right? If you don't want to go to the gym and you say, okay, do I not want the healthy body anymore, or do I just not want to go to the gym? Ooh, well, I still want the healthy body. It's a lot more towards your discipline. That's going to help keep you motivated. It's going to keep you engaged to go to the gym. If you are becoming a travel writer and you're like, oh, I've sent out 10 pitches and nobody responded. And they said, well, do you not want to be a travel writer anymore? And they're like, no, I still do. Like, great. Then you send out 10 more. Right. And I think of J.K. Rowling when she published Harry Potter. I can't remember the exact number of queries she sent out, but more than 25. And she's living in her car. And I can't imagine if she was like, oh, I'm going to give up. And somebody's like, do you not want to be a writer anymore? And like, she's like, no, I do. I'm going to keep sending them out. Right. So this, I think, is so important for anyone who's listening who has any type of goal, whether it is to be promoted, whether it is to start a side hustle, whether it is to get in shape, be more present with your family, climb a mountain or 7, feel like you learn to scuba dive, pick anything. If you're reframing daily, like, do I still want this outcome? And why is it working? I think those two together, I can't imagine a situation where I sit down and I go, oh no, I'm not going to do it, even though I know it's working and even though I still want the outcome.
Because like you talk about with the discipline, the moment you remember you want the outcome, there's like this amazing technique, this hack that I have for anybody who feels like they don't want to go to the gym or doesn't want to do the thing. And the hack is stop telling yourself you don't want to do it. Stop telling yourself, I want to do this. Because the moment that you tell yourself, I want to go to the gym, you remember all the reasons why you do. Of course I want to go to the gym because I want to get this healthy body. And of course I want to go to the gym because I actually like going to the gym. And I'm just telling myself I don't want to. We have the resistance that you feel for going to the gym is not actually the bad part about the resistance. The what feels bad is the resistance. It's not actually the gym. The task itself, whatever you're resisting, isn't painful. It's the resistance that's painful. So as soon as you tell yourself, oh, I want to do this, and you release the resistance, suddenly going to the gym is just going to the gym. Sure, it might be challenging, it might use effort, but now you don't have that inner resistance that feels horrible. Because that's what we're really fighting, is that resistance. So if you could just tell yourself, I want to. I just tell myself every single day, I want to do that. Anytime my brain tells me, oh, but I'm too tired, I'm like, no, I want to. I want to. And I just remember, I do.
And I think it's the same if you're starting a business, if you're training to climb Kilimanjaro, if you're trying to get promoted. If you want it, if you tell yourself you want it, if you tell yourself that you want this outcome, you will get there, right? And there's ways to expedite that and the strategies we can use. But in the whole, it's when you give up and you start backsliding, that's when it stops. That's when you lose your progress. That's when you're back at the starting point instead of that end point. So, Sarah, this was such a great conversation. If people are listening to this and they're like, okay, love her, need this in my life, obviously not TikTok, but where are the best places to go to learn from you, to connect with you, to hear more great advice from you?
Yes, you can find me everywhere except TikTok under Sarah Arnold Hall. That is my handle everywhere, and saraharnoldhall.com is my website. But since you're a podcast listener, you may find that you like my podcast. It is called How to Take Action. And it's all about how to achieve any goal that you set.
Yeah, so we will definitely link that in the show notes, both her website, her social handles, and her podcast. If you guys liked today's episode, which, I mean, you did, just admit it, give us 5 stars. Make sure you follow along for some more great guests and great episodes. And Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so great.
Thank you so much for having me, Kendall. It was such a fun conversation.